Billy Goodson, FTE 217, April 6, 2025. I was talking about some interesting facts about the AR-15 M16 platform. One thing that I found that I did not know, and this is from a podcast by Ben Tooman, The Chilling History of the AR-15, which was an interview with Cameron McWhorter and Zusha Ellison, which wrote American Gun, The True Story of the AR-15. Eugene Stoner was in the war in the Pacific. I didn't realize he had been in the military. It may have been covered, but I didn't realize it. But he worked on airplanes. He wasn't in combat, but he liked to tinker around with guns. In that era, the M1 was the main rifle that was being used, and it was a good gun, but it was super heavy. So Stoner was always trying to figure out a way to make it lighter. When he got back to the States, he worked for a company called Fairchild Engine and Airplane Corporation, which, guess what, was a division of Armalite. So he was trying to do something that hadn't been done, because for centuries gun makers had used wood and steel. And he thought, being that he worked with airplanes, he was familiar with aluminum and composites. So he started tinkering with making a lighter gun. And he did. That's how the M16 came about, with the composites and aluminum. The other thing that really sold the gun, I think, was the fact that that little bullet did so much damage. When it was tested, the larger, like 30-06 and 308 bullets would go straight through. The animal testing or water testing or whatever. But when they shot it with the 223 bullet, it exploded or tumbled or fragmented, and it did significantly more damage, which, was fairly appealing to the military, and I think helped them lean towards accepting that small bullet. A Securite article, The History of the M16 from 2023, explains that the M16 officially met the military standard of shooting a 5-inch group at 100 yards, which was an inch smaller than the M14, which I was pretty surprised with. I would have thought that their standards would have been tighter than that. But the fact that the gun shot a better group than the M14 was significantly lighter. That allowed with the lighter gun and the lighter ammunition, it allowed the soldiers to carry more ammo and more gear because they weren't carrying a heavy rifle. As far as the caliber, man, that's a can of worms right there. I really think it depends on what you're doing with the rifle. 223, 5.56 and a 77 grain bullet is a formidable bullet. It will do a lot. It'll do a lot more than people realize. But I'm going to lean towards, for deer hunting, I've really been looking into the 6mm Max. An article by Sun and Shadow, January of 2024, shows the 6mm Max pushing a 105 grain bullet at 2,500 feet per second. It drops 5 mil less at 1,000 yards than a 77 grain 5.56. I've hunted a lot with the 243 and 100 grain bullet, and that 105 grain bullet will do plenty for South Georgia deer. So I'm really leaning towards taking one of my 5.56s and rebarreling it and, new bolt and hunting with that 6mm Max. It's a really interesting cartridge. And thank you.